All right, let's dive right in. We're going to break down why a traditional salary, the very thing we're all taught to chase after, might just be the most expensive way to make money. And more importantly, we'll talk about how you can escape that trap.
So picture this. You worked those crazy long weeks. You crushed it. You landed that big 20% raise. But then, 6 months later, you look at your bank account and somehow you're more broke than you were before. Sound familiar? It's a super common story, and honestly, it's maddening. But what if I told you it's not because you're bad with money?
Here's the thing, and this is so important to get. The system isn't neutral. It's not just there. It was built with a specific structure. And once you understand that structure, you can start playing a completely different game. A much, much more rewarding one.
So let's start with what I call the promotion paradox. You know that feeling, right? It's like you're running faster and faster on a treadmill, only to realize you haven't actually gone anywhere. Why on earth does this happen? It's because every single dollar you earn from a salary has to run this absolutely brutal gauntlet before you even get a chance to touch it. First, it gets hammered by taxes at the highest possible rates. Then, its actual buying power gets silently eaten away by inflation. And only then, with whatever's left over, do you finally get to spend it.
Now here's where it gets really interesting, because not all money is treated this way, not even close. You can think of the financial world as being split into two totally different games, each with its own rulebook, all depending on where your money comes from.
So there are really three main types of income. First, there's earned income, which is your salary. You're trading your time for money. Simple enough. Then there's passive income from things like rental properties or business dividends. And finally, you have capital gains, which is just the profit you make when you sell an asset. Now, the tax code treats these three things completely differently.
And this table just lays it all out, crystal clear. There are two games. The earned income game, which is played by most employees, gets hit with the highest tax rates. We're talking up to 37% federally, and that's before you even add state taxes. Ouch. Then there's the asset income game, played by owners, where the rates are way lower, often just 15 to 20%. It's the same amount of money, just a different label, leading to a wildly different outcome.
So let's see how this actually plays out in the real world. This is the mechanism of the salary trap, and it really has two main parts. The part you can see, which is taxes, and the part you can't really see, which is inflation. Let's imagine two people. Person A is a super successful corporate lawyer making a $200,000 salary. It's all earned income. Person B also makes $200,000 a year, but they've structured it differently. Half of it comes in as a salary, and the other half comes from long-term capital gains and dividends from their investments.
Now just look at the difference in their take-home pay. Person A, our high-earning lawyer, takes home about $124,000 after taxes. But Person B, the owner, takes home $152,000. They both made the exact same gross income, but one of them gets to keep a whole lot more of their money.
That's a $28,000 difference. And that's not a one-time thing. That is the advantage the owner has over the earner every single year, just because of how their income is structured. I mean, just think about what you could do with an extra $28,000 a year.
Okay, now let's zoom out. Let's see how this builds over time. If Person B invests that $28,000 difference each year, the power of compounding creates a wealth gap of over $2 million by the time they retire. Person A worked just as hard, maybe even harder, but the structure of her income means she may never catch up.
This is exactly why you hear about billionaires paying themselves tiny $1 salaries. They're not being humble. They're being incredibly strategic. Their wealth grows through their assets, and they can just borrow against those assets for cash, and a loan isn't taxable income. It's a strategy often called buy, borrow, die, and it's how massive wealth is preserved and grown. But as significant as that tax disadvantage is, it's only the first layer of the trap. The second part is even more insidious because it's almost invisible, slowly eating away at your financial progress every single day.
And that, of course, is inflation. Even at a modest 2% target, inflation systematically destroys the purchasing power of your salary and your savings. $100 today simply does not buy what it bought 10 or 20 years ago. You're literally losing money just by holding on to cash.
And here's the really cruel irony of inflation. While it's eroding the value of a salary earner's cash, it's actively boosting the value of an owner's assets. The price of their real estate goes up, the value of their stocks goes up. The very same force that is crushing the earner is enriching the owner.
Okay, so if the game is rigged against people with salaries, what's the way out?
You can't budget your way out of a structural problem. The only real solution is to change the game you're playing. So let's explore the path to ownership.
Now, the first and most important step isn't having a ton of money to invest. The real barrier for most people is knowledge. It's about a mindset shift, from seeing your salary as the end goal to seeing it as the starting point. It's shifting from just working for money to having your money work for you.
So what does the new game plan look like? Well, it's a 4-step process. First, you keep earning your salary, but you reframe its purpose. It's your seed capital. Second, you systematically and consistently convert that salary into assets. Could be index funds, real estate, or even starting a small side business. The key is buying things that can grow. Third, you let those assets compound and let the system finally start working for you. And that leads to the final step, achieving true financial freedom.
Because once you start building up that asset income, something profound happens. Your salary is no longer your lifeline. It's just a tool. Your survival isn't tied to a single paycheck anymore. This shifts you from a position of dependence to one of optionality. You can take more risks, negotiate harder, or walk away from a job that isn't right for you. That is real freedom.
So, to be really clear, a salary isn't evil. It's a powerful starting point. But if you stop there, you're playing a game that's designed to keep you running in place. A salary can provide comfort, for sure, but it rarely provides freedom. So the real question is, will you use your salary just to live, or will you use it to build a life where you're truly free?